Okay, this is a new video and a short one to show the timeline of when they went from wanting gold as coins and they went back to worthless paper and then we went back to worthless paper. Now, there's this seesaw effect, which the public doesn't know over the timeline of history, where there's a game being played where they start using coins and they go back to worthless paper and then coins and back to worthless paper. So let's read this. The British wanted a tax on tea. The tax was in form of gold and silver coins. They didn't want a worthless piece of paper from the colonists, such as a continental dollar and Federal Reserve notes. They want coins. The colonists later, or at that time, printed up something called a continental dollar, which was a worthless piece of paper not backed by anything or redeemable in anything, and became a disaster financially. So they had to remedy the situation, and the colonists came up with a Coinage Act of 1792 that defined what is the money, what is a quantity of gold and silver in coin form. Read the Coinage Act of 1792 and then read section 20. The word dollar is an expression of the money. It's not the money. Too many people say we have a dollar as the money. That is not true. The word dollar has not changed since the law of Coinage Act of 1792. It's still an expression of the money. You cannot have an expression of the money become the money. The people that you talk to will not give you an example. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just repeating stuff ad nauseum. Now, the Coinage Act of 1792 was law all the way up until June 24th of 1968, and our government knowingly accepted this worthless money again. Remember, we had worthless money back in the continental dollar was worthless, so they had to remedy the situation. So now we're right back where we were with the continental dollar. We got worthless Federal Reserve notes. And so nobody knows what to do. They just shrug their shoulders and say, well, we can use it as money. Well, there's a cause and effect. It was what you use as money. And we're going to run into the end of it at this time in history. It's 2025, so the people better wake up. Now, to continue the truth here, the public doesn't know that the IMF World Bank practices fractional reserve banking and wants nations to give them gold as reserves, but the Federal Reserve doesn't want states to give them gold as reserves. Why? Why the difference? I'm going to explain to you something. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 allowed immorally and illegally for the Federal Reserve to create fractional reserve banking, and that was immoral. And it went on from 1933 or 1913 to 1933. That was immoral. So now the public can't understand or see the difference. That the World Bank practices fractional reserve banking, but they want gold as reserves. Well, if the Federal Reserve can function without nothing and no gold as reserves, how can the World Bank? Why can't the World Bank have nothing as reserves? See, the public doesn't think, they don't know what's going on. There's some very shrewd, smart people taking gold away from the people over time. There's a seesaw effect. And until you learn this through the study of Merrill Jenkins and his Material Money, the greatest hoax on earth, and I'm giving you the condensed version, you're not going to understand anything. Many of the YouTubers, they don't know what they're talking about, or they have limited information, and they just say the printing of money, which is nonsense. Almost all of the YouTubers don't tell you the Coinage Act of 1792, and you cannot have an intelligent discussion about money unless you explain and learn the Coinage Act of 1792 and the Coinage Act of 1965, and these laws conflict each other, and unless you understand the wording on the paper over time, you don't know what you're talking about, basically. I hate to say that there are a lot of ignorant people. I was ignorant too, but I'm presenting this information to you so you can have an intelligent conversation and vote in intelligent, wise people at your local county level. So anyhow, learn, learn, learn.